You got to do the motions.
And what's their... Oh. Is it one? No, it's not one.
Yeah.
One is the guy.
No.
One is the guy. Two is the girl.
Artistic gymnastics and rhythmic gymnastics.
It's one?
Because they usually are holding their apparatus in the other hand.
Yeah.
But when you do that breathing thing, I think I read about it, and it's like it actually helps with your nervous system. I don't know if I'm spreading pseudoscience. I don't fucking know. But when I'm like overwhelmed, I'll actually do the and I feel a little bit better. Yeah, I feel like a certain type of relief. So
maybe it's because of the motion. You're really pushing it back.
Yeah. But I find it's really helpful. Stop it. I lost my friend. Let's let her settle down and then we'll start. Hi, welcome to K-Pop Cancelled. My name is Angelina.
And my name is Audrey.
And today this was actually your idea. We're going to be doing Am I the Asshole K-Pop edition.
Yes.
So actually, Everglow Up beat us to this.
Fuck.
And they just released a video like a similar concept.
Okay.
So they beat us to it. But I did see someone did a similar video before Everglow Up. Mm-hmm. So I'll put them in the description because they did do it first, I think, as far as I'm concerned. So basically we're going to go on Reddit, and there's a subreddit. What do you call it?
I really don't know how Reddit works, but I found one who is Am I the K-pop villain? Who's pretty much, I think, the K-pop asshole, but
yeah, it's inspired by Am I the Asshole? But it's the last post was made 2 years ago, and there's like 300 members.
Yes.
So if you guys are cool with it, we might start like our own little subreddit specifically for the podcast.
Yeah.
Where either like K-pop confessions or similar Am I the K-pop asshole? Maybe we could do that. You can let us know. Unless the original poster wants to start revive the
K-pop villain.
The K-pop villain, that would be cool.
Yeah,
maybe we'll send people there and it'll be revived.
Yeah.
So
it should be nice though if it's reviving.
Yeah.
Resurrecting.
Resurrecting. One or the other, right? Like I think it would be really fun because I love reading this stuff.
I love it. I find like Am I the Asshole is pretty popular, and it's always changing, it's always growing because there's always people submitting stuff on it. And it's always so fun to see what's the point of view of the podcaster or the people who's talking about it. So
personally, I love being judgmental. So it's great. Okay,
so what's the first one?
Am I the K-pop villain for feeling that if my faves do boyfriend service, they deserve the backlash if they're ever caught dating?
Oh, that's juicy.
Juicy. Move that juicy. I love it. Love the beatboxing.
I'm pro with that. Only that beat.
Minghao who?
I don't know.
You're the only beatboxer I know.
I'm the only beatboxer in 17.
Looking at what happened to people like Seungmin and Chen after they got married and the absolute shit show dating scandals can become sometimes. Whenever members of my favorite groups do anything that can fall under the umbrella of boyfriend service, so cheesy messages saying that fans are their favorite types or even girlfriends sometimes, or playing along when fans ask them to marry, etc., I have this uncharitable thought that if they ever experience what the aforementioned idols did and still do it in the future, then they had it coming, because I feel like they're literally setting themselves up for backlash.
Okay.
The worst thing about it is since they're a boy group, they wouldn't have the general public to fall back on if such things occur because their success heavily depends on the fandom. I understand that the idol industry is supposed to sell a fantasy, and I would probably understand a little more if they were still struggling rookies that needed to pay off their debt. But while they're not the most popular, they're living comfortably now. It sucks because I love these boys so much, but I'm not going to lie and say that a part of me feels like they deserve the backlash if they ever get into dating scandals, because they knew the risks of playing along with fans' delusions but did it anyways. I just really dislike the boyfriend service and wish they'd just stop doing it. Sorry, this is so disjointed.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
is this person the K-pop villain?
A little bit.
A little bit, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, my first thought was like, oh yeah, they deserve the back.
Really?
A little bit. But I understand that they are selling a fantasy. It's like if they're actors.
Yeah.
If an actor is playing like the boyfriend type on screen and you fall for that, it's kind of on you.
Yes, but the thing is, it's always, people always say that or remember us that in Korea, they always think about, I spend so much money on you,
Yeah.
so you shouldn't date someone else, right?
Yeah. Like I'll
That's the thing.
like the actor analogy isn't the best because it is a lot more personalized. You see it in fan calls.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more personal.
Yeah.
So it's not the best analysis, the best comparison to make. But yeah, on one hand, you do spend a lot of money on your idols. I mean, the amount of albums and photo cards, you know.
I know, and I'm not that crazy about it, but the amount of people who do buy like 300 albums out of their pocket, not only group orders, but
Yeah.
out of their pockets to just have a fan call or a fan meeting with them, it's unbelievable, and it's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
It is.
We know, like, we kind of know people who do that, though.
Well, group orders are okay. I don't think it's a problem because if you're thinking about it, if you have like 90% who join your group, it will be 90 albums who will go to 90 persons technically.
Yeah.
If you think about one album per person.
Yeah.
But if you're alone and you have 300 like 90 albums just to meet them, what will you do with those 90 albums?
It's definitely a risk, I think, especially if you're going to try to sell them afterwards.
Yeah, and
But,
there's a
like-
lot of people who do craft with it. Well, it's a tangent already.
Crafts are fun, but yeah, the main point of like, hey, I just spent so much money on this fantasy and you ruined that fantasy. And it's not a secret. Companies even put in dating bans and they're very secretive about this stuff for a reason. Like, they're not stupid. They know what they're doing. They know it sells. And yeah, but like, what are the ethics of that really?
I don't know.
What are the ethics? So on one hand, like I like slightly agree because like you base your entire livelihood off of selling this fantasy. But at the same time, I think people buying into the fantasy should be able to separate, you know, this is not real.
But what's the title again? Am I the K-pop villain for them deserving the backlash?
Am I the K-pop villain for feeling that if my faves do boyfriend service, they deserve the backlash if they're ever caught dating?
So yeah, she's the K-pop villain because I don't really want them to have the backlash because they still have a life.
Yeah.
And people should be aware that, yeah, you do spend a lot of money in it, but still, it's your money and you want that. And even if they're married or something, they still can do the boyfriend service.
But I will agree, like, if they are dating, if they are married, it takes away from the fantasy.
A bit.
1,000%. I
bit.
can imagine it, like, financially, it's just better to not be public about it.
But isn't it Chen who is married and do have 2 kids?
Is it 2 now?
2 now.
That's too many.
But he's having 2. He do have 2 kids.
Yeah.
He's married, and he's doing his solo right now. Well, it's not released yet.
Okay, because I was going to say,
But it's in pre-order and stuff, and he's beating the odds.
I guess so, but we can't forget the amount of backlash that he
Yeah.
received.
Oh my god, it was
and
crazy.
people boycotting him.
They
and
wanted
his
him
OST.
to be. They wanted him to be removed.
Yeah,
from EXO.
get kicked out of EXO. So I understand both sides because when I was really young, I was like obsessed with Tim, and we talked about this before.
Was hurting yourself.
My heart was hurt at that prospect. But I don't remember him ever doing boyfriend service. And I don't remember ever thinking like I'd actually ever like meet him or anything.
No, you wanted, but it was hurting
Oh, yeah,
yourself
like,
too much that you stopped standing them.
Me as a fetus was hurt, but I was still like, I still think I was a little bit logical about it. I mean, that's why it hurt, right? Because I knew it would never happen.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because of that?
Yeah, well, yeah. If I was like, I don't want to use the word delusional.
Convincing?
If I was convinced that I would meet him one day, I think it would be a lot different. But I don't remember a lot of like fan service back then. Now it's everywhere.
Is
A lot
We
more.
Got Married considered as fan service?
We got married?
Yeah. Was it? I know it was really controversial. I can't say that word.
Controversial.
Controversial. Because they were a fake couple for like a year.
You're triggering a memory for me right now. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
I never watched it.
I watched it. And I still sometimes go back
Really?
and watch it again because I like it.
But I guess my point is, like back then, it wasn't as common. Like you wouldn't have as many fan signs as you do now. Like now you just scroll through Instagram and that's all you see.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so sexy, da 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 da. And it's like,
Yeah, but I still feel like less groups do it.
really?
Yeah.
I have like a saved Instagram reel where Songhwa's getting friend zoned because he's like, the girl is asking him, you know, how do I attract the guy I like? And he's like, I'm right here or something. And then she's like, I see you as a brother. Like it's just ingrained in their heads to go along with this fan service thing.
Yeah, but now they don't do it.
Of course they do.
Well, I don't know. I feel like it's more third gen than fourth gen who does it.
I'm not sure. I just really have ATs to base this off of. Because, like, that's the fan calls. Those are the fan calls that I see the most.
Speaking of ATs, is Usan considered as
Fan service?
Yeah.
I think it's fan service. I think it falls under the umbrella of fan service. But we will be talking about shipping later.
Okay.
So we'll save that
Okay.
for the shipping part.
Okay.
So, is this person the K-pop villain? Do idols deserve the backlash?
No.
No, of course not.
No.
We wouldn't wish that on anybody. But that's the thing. It's like putting the blame on the idol for someone believing that. Because yes, it is a fantasy at the end of the day, but it probably should be on you to, like, hopefully recognize that it's not real. But a lot of people can't.
But you're talking about 14 years old.
That's the thing as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of a little bit problematic, but at the same time, it's making these idols a lot of money. So like, why would that be like up for discussion to even try to change that kind of culture?
Of course not. Of course they won't.
I mean, like, I can imagine. Like, when I was younger, of course, I was obsessed. If I had the money to spend into a group, bye-bye. So I guess we kind of agree, like, kind of 50-50, but like a very nuanced 50-50.
Yeah, it is.
Very nuanced.
Yeah.
Of course, they don't deserve the backlash, like get kicked out of your group because you had a child and got married. But I also understand that ruins the fantasy.
It does.
And that's like one of major selling point in K-pop.
Yes, but at the same time, you should be aware of that fantasy.
Yeah. But when the company is specifically counting on this and feeding into this, then, you know, the backlash I don't think is in like 100% on the individual.
No.
So we can blame the company.
Yeah. At the end of the story, it's always the company's fault for everything. For making it accessible.
They have all the power.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. Ooh, this one is perfect for boomers like us.
Okay, go ahead.
Am I the K-pop villain for wanting the old K-pop back?
Oh.
I know I'm going to sound like a boomer.
Is it you? Did you wrote it?
Don't tell them.
Oh shit.
I'm kidding, but so I joined K-pop in 2012 before Gangnam Style, and at that time K-pop was still unknown to the Western world, and it was a great time until the wave that is BTS. Now, I don't blame BTS for this, but the wave of younger fans brought a lot of toxicity with it. I admit that there were toxic people before, but not to this extent. I started to notice the fandom hating each other, people caring about breaking records, etc. And I'm so done with it. I miss the little interactions between idols. No one really cared about streaming, and it was a peaceful place for me to escape. But now all I see is toxicity within the K-pop fandom. Is it bad for me to be selfish and wanting back the old K-pop? Absolutely not. No. You are not the K-pop villain.
No.
Absolutely not. So the first comment I'm reading here is saying like fandoms have always hated each other. And they're listing like, XOLs versus babies and 21 stans versus Girls' Generation stans. Sure. But not to this extent.
Well, it wasn't accessible, though. That's the thing.
I mean, there was like Twitter and stuff. It's not that hate and toxicity didn't exist, but there wasn't like a lot of people.
Well, I remember doing Black Ocean was pretty popular at the time.
Black Ocean, yeah. They mentioned Black Ocean during, I think, a Girls' Generation concert because of XOLs or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it existed, but today there's the numbers and more access to social media, and it is a lot more toxic in my opinion from what I've seen.
So it's the fault of the social media then, because it was already happening,
but
it wasn't public.
People were always terrible. People always have been terrible. They always will be terrible, but the means through which they can express those feelings have amplified. So not only are there more social media sites, there's just more people, there's more eyes on it.
So there's before it was only in Korea that it was happening, and now it's worldwide.
Not, I guess.
Well, restricted to Asian countries.
Not really. Like, because there was still Twitter back then. There were still people discussing these things back then.
Yeah, but Twitter started in 2011. No, Facebook did.
Facebook started like 2006 or something.
So Twitter was in 11 then.
I think it was a bit longer than that. What I'm saying is like from my experience, just being online back then versus today, it's hell today.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. It's horrible. It's terrible. So I agree. I agree that people have always been toxic, but it's just we see it more now. We have the ability to see it more now.
Yeah.
But I don't think this person's a K-pop villain.
No, I don't think so. But I feel like what the person is explaining, they're mostly not. They don't really. I don't know if I do understand it correctly, but they don't want the old songs to be back, but only the old vibe to be back, the old community to be back.
Yeah, they do talk a lot about fandoms hating each other more.
Guys, be just peaceful, and it's gonna be the old K-pop.
Did you just give everyone world peace?
Yes.
You solved.
Yeah.
The world is fixed now.
That's it.
Just be more peaceful.
Just be more peaceful. That's it.
Be nice.
Yeah, just be nice.
Because I've definitely been at like the other end of a fandom deciding that they hate you, and it's terrible. It's the worst. Like I would pray that idols don't read their comment sections,
and they are aware. And even if they say we love you, we X fandom, I'm pretty sure they're shameful for the action of their fandom.
Oh yeah, there's no way idols aren't aware of at least a percentage of what's going on. And I have no doubt. There's so many times I just want to tell someone like, the group you like would fucking hate you. Yeah. They would hate your guts. They wouldn't want to have someone like you supporting them because you're just
ruining it.
You're doing too much. Yeah. So I have no doubt they'd be ashamed of some of their fans. But they can't say anything about that.
No, because they will lose them.
Yeah.
And then they will go bankrupt. Yeah. No more fantasy.
Yeah. So we agree this person isn't the K-pop asshole.
No, it's not. But I would say that even if old songs are a classic, like we said for one of the episode 3 of our podcast.
Yeah.
Even if Ring Ding Dong is a classic, I don't like it, and I don't think I will like it if it comes today. So I won't really bring back the old sound.
In some ways, I do miss the old sound, but I guess I can relate that I miss the vibes. Because I would listen to anything back then. It wasn't either you had to love it or you hated it. Whereas today it feels like we need to be polarized on how we feel. Otherwise, like, I don't know, it's not good to be nuanced when you're with K-pop fans.
True.
It needs to be black and white. You need to either be on someone's side or you're against someone.
Or listen to all of their songs and not be a casual listener.
Oh yeah, you need to be the perfect stan. Oh my god, if you don't know the backstory, then I've definitely been on the end of that. Like, how do you not know this? You need to do more research. And it's like, I talk about so many K-pop groups. Do you expect me to know the details of every single storyline, if there is a storyline? And people have high expectations.
But I do miss the storylines, yes. But I do miss the 10 minutes videos.
One shot. I think it was 7 minutes, but
Skydive.
Yeah.
Skydive was 10 minutes.
Insane. You wouldn't see that today. I mean, you do a little bit. I think Craigshee had some.
Who?
Craigshee.
I don't know.
They're like a smaller group.
Okay.
But they had like long videos. But I also have a theory about that because it has to do with the K-pop fantasy. So I think K-pop groups stay within themselves in their music videos. They do glorified dance practices because not only is it safer, but if you have a love interest in your story, takes away from the fantasy.
Or you need to ruin that love interest.
Yeah, like Somi's XOXO.
And ITZY
Boys Like You.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's my theory why storylines don't really exist anymore. Because one is just, it's safer. You spend probably less money by just doing a glorified dance practice. It's safe and you don't really ruin the fantasy. Yeah. Because in second gen, there was love interests.
Always.
Love interests galore.
Like, it was your debut and you had a love interest in your music video.
Yeah.
For debut.
I know you guys can't imagine and I'm so sorry. But anyways, okay, let's move on to the next one. This one I feel like is directed towards me.
Okay.
So,
what is it?
Am I the K-pop villain for telling my friend that her dreams of being an idol will never come true?
So, young you when you wanted to
be a K-pop idol
with SM.
My almost SM audition, except I've never been near Toronto. So my friend is a hardcore K-pop stan. She always tells us how she's going to go to Korea someday and be an idol. We all took it as a joke and said, okay, nice, until she said she was serious about it. So she always talks about her dreams and it gets kind of annoying. She says how she's going to be the first K-pop idol from outside of Asia. First of all,
it's already happened.
It's happened. And legit, she said she's going to make a group. Oof. So I am a rather logical person. So I listened to her. So I am a
I already have I really have a thought behind.
So I am a rather logical person. So I listened. Fuck. So I'm a rather logical person. So I listened to her reasons why she will not be able to become a K-pop idol. And now she hates me. Oh, listed the reasons maybe? Oh. And now she hates me for breaking her dream. In terms of talent, no, she doesn't really have much talent in dance and music. Drum roll.
Is that person talking about Kachi?
We're not mentioning them in this podcast.
Oh, sorry.
Do you think this person is a K-pop villain?
A bit.
Okay,
if it's their dream... Well, I don't know what's their age, but when you're young, does it tell what's the age?
No, it doesn't say the age.
Okay, so when you're young, you always have dreams, and you always have them so close to your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's making you the happiest person in the world. So
yeah,
if they wanted to be a K-pop idol, well, maybe they will take dance classes. It's available. Back then, not that much,
Yeah.
but now there's K-pop classes, dance classes.
Yeah.
Back then, it was 2 years ago, so it wasn't really happening. But NCT Hollywood. So maybe it's possible now.
Yeah.
And there's people who's debuting in K-pop groups who aren't Asian.
There's a lot of K-pop stans that end up becoming K-pop idols.
Yeah.
And like they're probably weird and cringy like we were before they became part of a group.
For sure.
Logistically, the chances of becoming rich and famous are so low.
Oh,
so low.
Yeah.
So if you discouraged everyone from trying to follow their dreams, it's just out of this world unlikely.
of course. And there's a lot of idols that when they did their audition, they sucked. Like
Yeah.
they told it themselves that the audition, they don't know why they were picked.
Boom from 21, I think she auditioned like 3 times over the span of like multiple years. I mean, she debuted pretty
Late.
old.
Yeah,
she was like 26 or something.
26, really?
Yeah.
And she's
Or 25, 26.
okay. I thought she was a Magne, but she's not. No.
No, it was Minzy. Minzy was 16, and then the oldest member was like 25, 26.
So she was the oldest.
Her or Dara were the oldest.
Okay.
I think they were like the same age.
Okay.
But the thing about being logical, this person's trying to be logical, like you're probably not going to be able to make it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that applies to any idol who's ever auditioned because the chances are so low.
Yeah.
Incredibly low.
And there's so much groups who's debuting, or there's so much solo artists that are debuting that we don't know them. We don't know they existed because they don't have the
Company privilege.
a company privilege, but also they don't have the time on the award the music shows. Because even if they're scheduled, they will be pushed or scratched out, or like they will wait. I heard that there's groups who waits outside of the music show, waiting to have someone step down and be like put in the show just as a backup. So there's so much groups who we don't know them.
Yeah, it's definitely like a popularity contest. It definitely helps to know people.
Yeah.
It's not based on talent all the time.
No.
There's some
Sadly though.
there's some idols who like barely even trained. Like again, Giselle, she was with SM for like 11 months, not even a year, and then she debuted with aespa.
I think there was a girl who was in Card. Jihu was
Jihu?
Yeah, she didn't train long.
You'll find so many lists of like the shortest training periods and stuff. Sometimes it's really not about talent. You could be a talentless person, but you have the it factor. You have the personality maybe, or they just like the way you look. It could be based on like nepotism. You know someone, you have family members. Like, I don't want to bring this up to shade her, but Sunny is Isuman's niece or something.
Yeah.
So like,
But I like Sunny.
yeah, we like Sunny. Which
She's my fave in GG.
I didn't mean it in any way, but it's just like it definitely helps.
Yeah, it does.
Crystal from FX, her sister is in Girls' Generation. Like,
Yeah, but they were scouted at the same time, no?
maybe I'm not sure about that. We'd have to fact check
Yeah,
that.
I think they were shopping with their mother in America.
I don't think so. I think Jessica wanted to become famous, so she moved to South Korea.
Oh, I don't know.
But I'm not sure. But anyways, it helps to know people for sure. And I would say they are the K-pop villain.
Yeah.
Because just keep it to yourself.
Keep it to yourself. Why would you say that?
Yeah.
What does it give you to?
It just like listing the reasons of why you'll never succeed. It's discouraging.
It is.
It could build character though and make you want to do it more.
Yeah, but still.
It's just mean.
It's mean. It doesn't give you any advantage to say that just to lose a friend. Maybe that person was annoying, but we are all annoying at once.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're likely very annoying.
Everybody is annoying in their lifetime.
But not everyone has realistic dreams. And
But
it's good to dream though.
That's the reason to dream.
Yeah, it's good to dream. So K-pop villain.
Yeah.
You're the K-pop villain.
Yeah, that's the K-pop villain. The K-pop asshole.
Yeah.
The K-pop asshole. Putain.
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 Poutine.
Poutine. Rasputin. No, we don't say that. We don't sing that.
So the next one. I told my friend to step out of her fantasies and stop shipping 2 members.
Okay.
Am I the K-pop villain? My friend is a hardcore army and she ships Taehyung and Jungkook too much to the point she edits them together, writes 21 plus fanfics, and the usual Delulu shipping. Once I sat down with her and said, stop, you are a disgrace to the fandom. If Taehyung and Jungkook would have seen this, they would hate you.
No, I don't think so.
So you don't think they're the K-pop villain?
No, I mean, they won't hate her for that.
I often wonder what idols think about this stuff.
I know it's cringy, but they always slaps their butts, and they do it on purpose. So
I wonder, because I think there was an idol who came out and said, like, it makes me uncomfortable. I don't know, because I agree.
Say it makes them uncomfortable, but if you're watching, like, their performance on shows and their fan cams, they're always slapping the butt of the person in front.
I wonder if that could be due to like cultural differences too, though, like things that are not like necessarily not acceptable here, but not super done here that much compared to Korea, where skinship is more
it's more
acceptable. So I don't know that they're purposefully trying to feed into the shipping allegations.
I think it's more a relationship.
1,000% feeding into like the boyfriend persona, but shipping together, I don't know. But I wonder what like idols think of that. Because if I were to read like a fanfic that someone wrote about me,
a smut
fic. Someone actually wrote like a fucking long ass paragraph in my comments once.
Okay.
About me, Luna, and an octopus.
But Luna, the group?
Yes.
How many girls is in that group?
I think there's like 13.
Fuck.
But I felt simultaneously disturbed, and it was also kind of hilarious.
Okay.
So I wonder if like if someone wrote so many fanfics about you and a specific member, if you would feel uncomfortable, or if it would be like funny as hell.
Yeah.
Because some of these fanfics are so funny, and I am not speaking from personal experience. I had a friend who wrote like Chris X, was it Chanyeol fanfic?
Oh, really?
So I read them for her.
To see if it was good?
Yeah.
But
I've done a lot of questionable things. Don't ask.
A ship, it's not always a romantic ship.
I would say shipping specifically, though, would be inherently
romantic.
Yeah.
Okay, but like I said earlier, do we consider Usan a ship?
Yes, they're shipped together. So I don't know why. I don't know if it's... I don't watch these types of videos on YouTube, but I'll often get like Usan steamy 18 plus on YouTube. I'm like, what the...
Yeah, but they are feeding into it. They are doing it.
I think they just love each other so much. And I think we restrict ourselves more in Western countries to show platonic love, that we just assume everything is inherently romantic or sexual. So I don't know. I'm conflicted about that.
Okay. But I feel like shipping is okay.
I don't know.
I don't care if it's a romantic ship. But I feel like it's part of the fantasy.
Yeah. And I would feel a little weird to kind of gatekeep how people feel about their idols. You can do whatever you want in your head. Even like writing fanfics and stuff, like there's obviously an audience for it.
And it's not part of K-pop, but after it was a fanfic, and it's now a book, and it's now a movie.
After.
The
movie after. Can you imagine like a K-pop fanfic turned into a movie?
Yo, I would buy that shit.
That would be. We should write one. Let's
should.
go. Oh wait. Is this person the K-pop villain? I'd say again, like a very nuanced 50-50. Because it's like you can't like tell people how they should feel.
No.
But if it creeps you out, I think that's a conversation to have and be like, I just don't care to partake in this conversation.
Read it or just don't take part of that.
Yeah, you'd have to like set a boundary with that friend probably and be like, listen. I'm very uncomfortable.
I'm not comfortable with that. But I feel like there's more shipping into boy groups than girl groups.
I would say so as well, for sure.
I feel like the shippings for girl groups are just
not as common.
Yes, but it's not romantic. It's more friendly ships. Like it's your two favorite and your two bias, and you like that combo.
A combo?
Combination.
Yeah, combination. Yeah. I don't remember a lot of girl groups shipped together.
Like Sana and Momo or Mina and Sana.
Mimosa.
Yeah.
It seems more platonic.
It is.
Why?
We got scared. Okay. So, yeah, Mimosa.
Mimosa, it feels like less romantic.
It's
but then
not.
again, I've never dived into it.
Me neither.
So I don't know.
But still, I feel like it's not. Girl groups aren't
shipped as much.
They are shipped, but not for romantic purposes.
Okay. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So again, do you think this person is a K-pop villain for being like, you're cringe, stop?
They can express their uncomfortableness.
They can express their discomfort with it.
Yes.
Fair. So the next one is actually, is it wrong to ship two idols together? But I feel like we already talked about that.
It's kind of the same.
So, this one's interesting. Am I the villain for forcing my friend to like K-pop?
Oh, are you?
I have stories. I've been a K-pop fan for around half a year, and it has been a nice experience so far. Everyone in this community is nice beside the toxic ones, but I have no in real life friends to talk about K-pop. I live in a rural area and my school has less than 200 people, so it is a very small town. One day I decided to get one of my friends to listen to K-pop. They didn't like it. So of course, I keep trying over and over again, but with no avail. They never told me to stop, but I feel like I'm bothering them. So am I the K-pop villain? No.
No. Well, I don't feel like that person is insisting.
They feel like they're bothering their friend.
They feel, but maybe not.
But maybe so. Just from personal experience, I know.
You were?
Actually, not really. I wanted no one else to like K-pop around me.
Okay.
I wanted to be the only one. But my friends did eventually get into K-pop, and then we would like fight over biases. Like Jungkook from BAP, my friend biased him. I'm like, no, but I do too. And we like got actually heated that we couldn't like the same bias. But do you have any experience with this?
No.
Didn't you tell me that you tried to show your friend 17 and she just doesn't like them?
Well, it was you.
No, not me. No, you told me you kept trying to show your friend like performances and she just doesn't like K-pop. She doesn't vibe with them. Not me.
It was you.
No. I literally remember.
Well, I have a friend who's on and off into K-pop.
Okay.
Sometimes she's in it. Sometimes she's just like, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But like, she's a big fan of Big Bang.
Okay.
Like a big fan. And I was maybe the one who was a bit embarrassed for her.
Why?
Because she had a Fantastic Baby as a ringtone.
Okay.
And every time we went to a supermarket, her phone was ringing. It was like, da-na-na-na-na.
Wow. Fantastic Baby.
That was the beginning of it.
Oh.
So
Yogi Butora.
that's it. And I was always so like
So
feeling a little
embarrassed.
Feeling embarrassed.
I think I was that friend. I had an ice cream phone.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the Big Bang commercial for ice cream phone? I got that phone, and my ringtone was "Forever with You" by Big Bang and Boom, and it would just always shamelessly play it. And then my text message tone was "Message" by My Name. You got a message. 내 맘을 잡지. A message. Yeah. So
Like,
I think
you had a 5 seconds 5 seconds voice for "You Got a Message."
yeah, I cut it so it's "You got a message."
Okay, I kind of want it though.
It's good, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty clever.
Yeah.
So I think I was the embarrassing friend.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I went into Best Buy, and I don't know why, but Genie by Girls' Generation was playing on one of the TVs.
Okay, so somebody put it.
I guess so. So I
Yeah.
just stood in front of it and did the dance. 그래요 난 널 사랑해 언제나 믿어 꿈도 열정도 다 주고 싶어. Yeah. So I was a cringy friend 1,000%.
Yeah, I feel back when I was younger, I was more. It needs to be underground. It needs to
Okay.
be secret for me to like it.
Okay.
Okay.
I feel that.
But recently, like, I always tend to talk to my dad about K-pop, and sometimes I really don't talk about any songs for a month or two, and he always go back to me. He says like, feels like it's been quite of time that you didn't show me a music video or something. Like, he's interested in it.
I love that. He's so supportive.
Yeah.
Aw, that is so sweet.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I can't say that my mom wasn't supportive, but like she'll hear songs that I'll play, like second gen songs, and she'll like know the lyrics. I'm like, oh, really? And she would like pick me up from school and like blast 21 I Am the Best. And she's like, she'll text me, I'm outside. And she's like trying to write the lyrics, like pretending she's singing through text. So I definitely can't say she's not supportive, though she does hate a lot of K-pop. She's like, this is terrible. I was playing AT's Answer Ode to Joy. She's like, this is horrible. This is the worst thing I've heard. I'm like, excuse you, it's poetic and beautiful. But she's very supportive.
I think I'm gonna have a talk with your mom.
Yeah, you better tell her.
Yeah.
No, it's great when parents are supportive.
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, my mom is an anti for all music genre.
Okay.
She doesn't like music at all.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I remember I got bullied a lot at school for liking K-pop. Not everyone, obviously, but like I came from a small town and people were a little bit more closed-minded, and I was obnoxious. My locker was plastered in like 21 and Big Bang pictures, and people were just really mean about it. I don't think they're as mean anymore.
Maybe not.
I think there's still some hesitation from some people.
Oh, it's closing again. Is it overeating?
So yeah, I don't think they're the K-pop asshole, especially since their friend never specifically said anything about it.
Because if they said something and then they were continuing,
yeah,
it would
that's
be a
different.
problem. Because, like I said, my friend is on and off with K-pop, so I don't bother her. But
Just me.
still, just you, because it's your job. So you need to be
like,
fed up.
Dan 17 or right
Dan
now.
17, like
Here's
right now.
20 reels about how cute they are.
Yeah. And I will send you all the Mingyu and Hoshi reels just for you.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. But you should always respect the person. If you said to me, like, I just can't, I won't send it.
Yeah. I'm not trying to make her sound like
No, because
she's
she
actually
didn't tell
annoying.
me. So maybe it's
She's not.
Maybe it's some subliminal message.
No. I mean, maybe before the concert, but not anymore.
Not anymore, because now she stands in.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we do a last one?
Yeah, we'll do one last one.
Okay.
Ooh, I like this one. Am I the villain for liking my bias less because they became more popular?
Oh, that's interesting.
My old group recently had a comeback and the line distribution was terrible. Half of the members sang the majority of the song while the others had next to nothing. Is this about Everglow? I
don't
wonder.
know. I wonder.
At the time, my bias in the group, who was also my old bias, was the member who got pushed by the company the most and had the most lines in every single one of the group's songs. Whereas my bias wrecker was mistreated by the company and had next to no lines in most of their songs, especially the most recent one. As they started promoting, I started biasing my original bias less and less. I know it wasn't her fault that she was pushed, but I couldn't help it.
Okay, I think it's Everglow.
Over time, she stopped being my bias, and the girl who had barely any lines became my ult of ults. I still love the first girl as I do the whole group, but she's not really in my bias line anymore. It could just be timing, as I understand that it's normal for biases to change, but I can't help feeling bad. That went a different direction than I expected.
Yeah, me too.
I was expecting like this group became popular and therefore I don't like them anymore.
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah, maybe it's because the title is bad worded.
Maybe.
Because it doesn't feel like what I thought the same.
Yeah.
But it's not what they're saying.
Yeah, just one specific member seems to have gotten a little bit more popular and they tend to not like that member anymore.
Well, it's a little bit assly.
Oh, okay. Do tell.
Well, I feel like if you don't like them because they're too popular, it's like you shouldn't.
Your love should be unconditional.
Exactly. You shouldn't restrain yourself from loving someone, even if they're popular or not.
Okay.
Usually, I don't stand. Well, my bias isn't the popular one.
Okay.
But I feel like now it's mostly the popular one who's my bias. Well, okay. they grew up in popular every comeback. Like it's always changing up. I don't know. There's always like something like who's your bias before concert and who's your bias after concert.
Yeah, but this is specifically a member got more popular and that kind of was stopped. Like gave them the ick.
Well, maybe they don't want to spend much money into photo cards.
Okay, yeah, maybe it's just too expensive to stand up.
Maybe.
I mean, if this was worded if this was a different story, like I stopped liking a group because they became more popular, I have more to say. Maybe we'll wait if we ever see that as a thing. A group became more popular and I don't like them anymore.
Okay.
But as for a specific member, I think it's reasonable. I mean, you said you didn't like Tiffany because she got too much attention.
No, I said she was too loud for me.
Too loud. But like, see, if a member is getting like more and more popular and it feels to the consumer that this person is these damn flies, I'm gonna lose it. The camera keeps stopping and these damn flies and my dogs hate me.
Okay.
Don't cry.
Oh my god. Okay.
So,
yeah,
it might make somebody feel like they're too loud, they're too annoying, like they're getting too much attention, and I just don't vibe with that anymore.
Maybe.
I don't know. I thought it was very exciting from the title, but
yeah. But if we take by example Everglow, my first bias was Mia, and now it's Yiren.
Yeah.
But I don't think I unbiased Mia because she had more lines and more. She was more pushed up by the company.
Yeah, the favoritism.
Yeah. I don't think it was because of that. It's just because she was the first that I noticed.
Okay.
Because Yiren is more, like, quieter.
Yeah, so yeah.
But I think it's genre comment t'es élevée. Like,
the way she was raised.
Yeah, so I don't think, like, it's okay for you to change your bias.
Yeah.
Even if your bias was the popular one, because you never know. You always tend to have, like, you don't know them, and then you see who you are more attracted to.
Yeah, I think like individually in a group, if there's popular members and they become less popular, more popular, it's totally different from like you unsend a group because they're now more popular.
Yes.
Which I have a lot to say about.
Yeah.
But we'll save that for episode 2 of specifically the Reddit series that I hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah.
This is going to be it because my camera's overheating.
Yeah.
And Kevin's causing a ruckus. They're so sweet now. Look at them. They're not moving. They're not scratching.
And it's the end of the podcast.
How dare you guys, frankly. I think their job security is on the line. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram. You can also subscribe, join our channel members. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video
with friends you don't have.
And that concludes episode 5, right?
Damn, it's so fast. Times go fast.
I'm really enjoying it.
I am too.
This feels like the biggest production I've ever done.
Really?
So it is. There's 3 cameras. We have 2 mics and we're recording audio, and it takes a long time to edit. It just feels like I feel so proud when it comes out.
Me too. Me too. And I love reading comments.
Yeah. Even if some of them are a little...
I don't care.
It's fine.
It's okay.
Did you read any mean comments in the last episode?
Yeah.
Do tell.
What was?
We talked about who paved the way. There were some BTS stans who were like, listen.
Yeah, there was one was like, I didn't even listen to it, but it's BTS.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. But there's one who said it was Girls' Generation paved, did so much, and you only talked about 21 and Big Bang once. Something like that.
Oh, I thought they were saying we only...
Talked about Girls' Generations once?
Well, Girls' Generation paved the way and you only talked about them once. And I was like, we mentioned them 20 times.
Yeah, and 21, I mentioned it at the end.
At the end. So admittedly, we didn't pay a lot of attention to 21 and Big Bang.
I feel like we didn't... we didn't pay any attention to EXO, and I'm really sorry because they did a lot.
I think we paid enough attention to EXO.
No, we didn't.
I think we mentioned them. No, that was in the episode the SM Stan episode.
And still, we didn't really talk much about them.
I think we talked enough.
A bit.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining. My camera just died again.
It's okay.
So we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye. Since when does it overheat?
I don't know. It's not mine. It's yours. What's after like? Non, mais c'est ça qui est le fun avec celle-là, c'est que tu peux genre faire des épisodes 1, 2, 3, 4 pour ça. Parce qu'il y a tellement d'entries.